And so your total years of service in the Marine Corps?
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah, 10 years infantry, 20 years aviation.
Okay, and we talked this a little bit earlier. Were you drafted or did you enlist?
Well, I enlisted on January the 14th. That was after World War II, and I did get a draft notice when I was in combat, and that was kind of interesting. I'm over in Korea in combat, and the mail call, and I get a letter that says, report to your draft office immediately. And I never did respond to that.
I was going to ask them, what would you have done did your local draft board ever find out that you were in the Marine Corps at the time, or how did they ever get that resolved?
I don't know how it was resolved, but I had several ideas about how I was going to put a message on the draft notice, and I never did, but anyhow, I got sort of a chuckle out of that.
And when you enlisted, where were you living at the time?
I was living in Toledo, Ohio, and I had a pretty good Marine Corps background because my dad was in for 41 years total. He happened to be, at that time, he was the commanding officer, and so it was in Toledo. We had the Marine Naval training at Bayview Park.
Well, and the next question I think is pretty obvious. Why did you pick that branch of service? Because of your dad with General Churchill. Do you remember some of the stories that he told you when you were younger about the Marine Corps?
Well, we had a lot. I just lived part of the Marine Corps. My dad had three things that he was involved in: Marine Corps, the grocery business, and politics. And so, if you wanted to do anything with your dad, you had to be involved in one of those functions. And I grew up at Camp Perry in the summertime on the range, and then when I joined, it was a good time right after the war, and it was easy to recruit people. In the Marines, we had a bunch of fellows that we recruited from our high school classes, and then I was 17 at the time, and was a senior at DeVilbiss, and then I went to the University of Toledo, and so we just, the outfit grew. It was, as I say, we were over 1,000 men activated for Korea in 4 years.